ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It's Hoist the Colors on a Thursday, June 18th edition of the program. We're talking a lot of ECU football today. I believe we're 80 days, maybe inside of 80 days. I'll check the official counter here in a second, but we got more football talk on the way. Our latest State of the Room address, this time for the inside linebackers. We'll break down how that position is looking. You lose Sam Danka. You lose Damian Wilson. Both guys started a lot of games for you last year. How is that position looking? Led by DJ Johnson, who was a returning starter, one of the few returning starters for this football team on paper. So we'll get into that here in a couple of moments. We're also going to have our next opponent preview. We're still looking to connect with our North Carolina Central play-by-play guy. So waiting on that. If it doesn't happen, I have his contact info. I've reached out. He hasn't responded, although I've been in an email chain with him and the Director of Media Relations at North Carolina Central. So I'm waiting on the official response there. If we don't get it, we may have to just do our own North Carolina Central preview. But we're going to move ahead to conference play. ECU will play their 4 non-conference games, have a bye week, and then host Rice in the conference opener. We're going to chat with Matthew Bartlett at the Roost. He covers the Rice Owls for a really good website that goes in depth on all things Owls. So looking forward to catching up with Matthew. We'll also discuss the latest in the College World Series. The championship series is set. North Carolina moves on. It's the second straight year ECU loses in the regional final to a team that made the national championship series. Of course, last year, Coastal Carolina made it. They ended up losing to LSU. This year, North Carolina makes it. They will play Oklahoma this weekend in a best-of-3. We'll get into World Cup potentially as well. Some MLB. Carson Wisenhunt with a good start last night, ECU alum, against the Atlanta Braves. So we'll break that down as well. Philip Pilkington, he is back in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, how you doing on this Thursday, my friend?
Not good, because we're going to talk about the inside linebackers, and I'm not allowed to say give me more Sam Danka, and that's depressing, man. I miss saying it.
4 years of talking about give me more Sam Danka. Man, how time flies. It's gone. And now, it's like we said yesterday with the outside linebackers preview. I think give me more Kendrick DeJour is what we're going to be saying, because either that or we're going to fall in love with somebody very early in the season and we're going to want more of, and they're not going to play more. But we'll find another guy, Philip. Look, this is a 100-man plus roster. We got to be able to find another guy.
True. But we find a guy who's that freak of an athlete paired with that good of a dude. Like, one of my favorite players on the roster. I know we're not really supposed to have favorites, but, like, Sam was one of the most fun guys to interview. So happy-go-lucky. He had, like, this contagious smile when he walked in the room. Like, everything about Sam Danka lined up, right? Like, it wasn't just the football player. So, I mean, you're right. We're going to find a guy, but will he be Sam Danka?
Man, Phillips really, he's getting going early. 3 minutes into the show.
Getting emotional, man.
And going crazy. Somebody in the chat, this is a good question. From B Hut, he says, how many times has the team that knocked ECU out of the NCAA tournament gone on to win the national championship? So, did that happen in one of the NCAA tournaments ECU made in basketball? I have to double check that. They lost to North Carolina in the opening round in '92, whenever it was, and that UNC team may have gone on to win the Natty. Somebody may look that up. But
do you know the exact year, Stephen? So if it was 92, no, because Duke won in 92. Carolina won in 93. Arkansas won in 94. I definitely won in 95. That was UCLA.
93 is when ECU made it was the 92 season, but the 93 tournament. So, yeah, 92, 93. So that would have been when North Carolina won the championship in basketball.
Correct.
I guess he's asking about baseball, but that's just the first thing that came to mind. Like, Coastal didn't win it last year. I'll do some research during the break.
So in 2019, Vanderbilt. Oh, no, we lost to Louisville that year, didn't we? We lost to Louisville in 2019. They did not go on to win it. In 2021, Vanderbilt lost to Mississippi State. Vanderbilt had knocked ECU out in a super regional. Just kind of scrolling through here.
Texas didn't win it.
Texas did not win it. Our, what's her name? South Carolina obviously didn't win in 18. Who knocked ECU out in 2015, Stephen? Do you remember?
2015, that was when they were in the Miami Coral Gables regional. Now, the team they lost to and got eliminated by was FIU.
Okay.
FIU definitely did not win a national championship.
The reason why I asked,
And
Virginia won it
yeah.
that year, and I know we've been eliminated by Virginia a couple times. So, okay. And then Texas Tech didn't make it in 16.
I think one of the years ECU lost to Carolina in a super or a regional, that team made the championship but did not win it. So I have to do some research on some of those old, ECU lost to Tennessee in the super. They lost to South Carolina in a super. But I think that was before the Gamecocks won a natty. But I'll do some double checking on that during the break. Let's start with our state of the room inside linebackers. Again, we'll keep knocking these out till we get to our summer hiatus along with our opponent previews. Just continue to tee up football season. I mean, it's never too early to talk football, man. And so we're diving deep into these positions. The inside linebacker room, again, you lose two key guys in Damian Wilson and Sam Danka. Danka, who could do a little bit of everything. I don't know if he was great at any one thing, but he could do it all. Damian Wilson, more of a run-stopping linebacker and a guy who I would say got better consistently throughout his time at ECU after coming in with a lot of talent and not really showing a ton at Missouri. So those two guys move on, and their losses, definitely you would like to have them back. But I do think this room can get better from a consistency standpoint given the people coming back and also the people coming in. So I'll just run it down here real quick. Your main returner that Pirate fans will know is DJ Johnson. And we were talking about this pre-show. If I had not looked at the stats, I wouldn't realize that DJ Johnson finished second on the team last year in tackles. Now, you do have a defense personnel by committee with Blake Carroll's unit. They do a ton of rotation. A lot of guys play, but still, he finishes with 60 tackles, which finished second on the football team. And he was basically a half-season starter, was DJ Johnson as a redshirt sophomore. He's now going into his redshirt junior year. We can talk about his expectations in a minute, but I would expect him to lead the way at one of the two inside linebacker spots. Also, back as an older player, redshirt senior Jackson Barker. You guys have probably heard him on the Holt Naylor show. Came in as a walk-on, has played outside linebacker, has played tight end, now at inside linebacker, going into another year there. Was more of a backup last season. He's competing for a starting job this year. But again, a fifth-year guy, been in the program, been through the battles. Really respect him, his story. The Pirates bring in a couple of transfers from Memphis. They couldn't get Zakai Barker back. Obviously, he transferred to North Texas to stay close to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But they do bring in two brothers, Cruz Law and Cade Law, who transferred over from Memphis with Jordan Hankins, the new inside linebackers and defensive coordinator coach. Cruz Law comes in with a little more experience on defense as a redshirt sophomore. Cade Law missed last year with an injury. He's the older brother. Both these players spent time at North Carolina before transferring to Memphis last year. Cade, more of your special teams player, but did have a nice pick in a scrimmage I saw. I would say Cruz probably more in line to be more of a defensive player, but I would expect both them to play. Cruz probably profiles as a little bit more of a downhill, physical linebacker, but both of them are pretty solid in space as brothers. You also have a young player returning that did not redshirt last year, Jordan Miles, that I am high on, and I think the staff is high on. He's a true sophomore. And Jordan's a guy who they expect to take a leap this year. So that's five guys that I would expect to undoubtedly be in this two deep. And then you got two talented true freshmen, Chad Fairchild and LJ Porter. Porter won a state championship at Huff High School. Really athletic linebacker, a touch undersized, but really good in coverage, really good in space, can play man coverage. Then you got Fairchild, who's more of your downhill physical, bowling ball type linebacker, will just knock the snot out of you. He was highly recruited. Looked like he was heading to NC State for a time last summer, ended up committing to ECU instead. So there's your 7 scholarship inside linebackers. Let's start with DJ Johnson, Phillip, because if you look at his Pro Football Focus grades second half of last year when he started to step into the number 1 spot, starting lineup, he took off. He was inconsistent as a young player in 2025 when he played defense. He was somewhat inconsistent the first half of last year, 2024 when he played defense. And then last year in 2025 was somewhat inconsistent the first half of the season. Second half of the season started to take off when he got more consistent snaps and stepped into that starter role. So DJ Johnson, I know Blake Carroll has really challenged him. He recruited him firsthand. He's kind of seen his development come through. They love his energy. They think he can be kind of the mouthpiece of the defense in a positive way. I'm expecting a big year out of DJ Johnson. I just want to see a little more consistency, but I'm expecting him to lead the way here with this unit.
He will, I think, especially from a talent standpoint and a guy that, just live ball you trust. The tough thing that I think DJ is going to have to also do this year that he didn't do last year is last year it was a lot of Zakai Barker wearing the green dot and doing a lot of the communication pre-snap. That's something that I think they're going to choose DJ this year. I think he might have done it some last year if Barker was off the field, but down in and down out. You're about to jump in there.
Yeah, so it was Barker. Barker was there in 24. He went to SMU last year.
That's right. Oh, that's
Remember,
right.
he was going to transfer back. So I think he wore the green dot a little bit last year, but it was more Damian Wilson.
Or Damian Wilson. Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. So that's going to be one of those things that he's going to have to now worry about, right? I mean, I don't 100% know that they're choosing him. They're choosing Jackson Barker. I think, like you said, because of Blake's, kind of being a Blake guy, and that's who he's challenged so many times. I mean, he's done it in press conferences too. He stood up and be like, DJ Johnson's got to be better. And that's when DJ Johnson's playing well. Like, I think Blake pushes him, really knows how good he can be. And it speaks a lot when you constantly call a guy out like that, because you're not calling a guy out who really does suck or is a bum. It's a guy you think can be really, really good and has a lot of potential. It's the fact that Blake has called him out by name multiple times, but he's going to, once again, like I said, he's going to have to take over that new responsibilities of quarterback in the defense. And I hope that doesn't hurt his play because he's so worried about that. I mean, because he's got to be perfect in that too.
So DJ, the other thing I love about him is, and I think the reason Blake challenges him is because he knows that he's like super self-confident. And I think at times he tries to knock him down a peg or two just to get him, kind of knock him down just so he answers the challenge a little bit more. But DJ, I mean, he's the son of a former NFL defensive lineman, Dwight Johnson. And growing up as a Denver Broncos fan, I used to really dislike Derek Johnson, Chief stud linebacker, 4-time Pro Bowler. Well, that's his uncle, Philip. So, he comes from great bloodlines. And, I think – and to play linebacker, man, you just got to be a different breed. Like, not only do you have to be extremely instinctual and just a great high football IQ, but you've got to be able to lead. You got to be able to play with confidence, which DJ has. You got to be a director out there. So I just like the fact that he comes from that family, and I think he's matured a lot here. It just feels like to me he's ready to take that next step, but we'll find out here in the fall. All right, the other guys, kind of looking at the depth chart in the spring, Cruz Law seemed to be pushing toward a starting role. Memphis transfer, played, I think, around 200 snaps last year as a redshirt freshman at Memphis. Seems like he's trending in the right direction. Jackson Barker, I think, is also pushing for a role there. Both those guys, pretty good size for linebacker. And then Cade Law in that mix as well. And then Jordan Miles. Jordan Miles had the most upside of anybody in that group. And so, those four guys, for me, the question is who's going to emerge as the other starter? And then who's going to be kind of that third guy like DJ Johnson was last year that's basically playing a starter snap count even if they're not starting. I think you at least need 3 there, if not 4. And you've got 5 names there, Philip, that are non-freshmen that, the question is just who's going to emerge consistency-wise under Jordan Hankins.
Yeah, I think, Stephen, 3, like you said, 3 is the floor, right? And that would be Barker. That would be obviously Johnson and Cruz, right? Cruz is the one and Cruz Law. So those are your 3 I think you feel really good about. But at the end of the day, like you said, this defense likes to sub 11 guys sometimes. And if you only got 3 names for 2 positions, that's not subbing 11 guys. So who can step up and be the next guy? I like gosh, I just went blank on his name. Who's the guy who was the freshman last year?
Miles.
Jordan Miles. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was limited playing time, but it did seem like he belonged with the big boys out there, right? I mean, definitely made some freshman mistakes, but it seemed like he grew throughout the season. And talking to Coach Harrell was another one of those guys. You asked about him a couple times at the weekly pressers, and Blake seemed pretty pleased with Jordan Miles' play. So I think he's your 4th If K-Law can step up and be that fourth, that's great too. And I mean, there's potential for five, but if I had to pick four, like you said, I think, K-Law probably a little more special teams, maybe some specialty type things on defense, but those will be your four that you can rotate in when you do, sub the whole line.
And just wanted to give the freshmen a moment here, talking about Chad Fairchild and LJ Porter. I think covering recruiting, and again, I always shy away from talking about freshmen because it's just, all the things I mentioned about DJ excelling at the position earlier. Like, those things take time to develop, and you have to be able to know every aspect of the defense as a second level defender, because you're having to communicate from the back end to the front end, know everybody's responsibilities. But I think talent wise, Chad Fairchild and LJ Porter are probably the two most talented inside linebacker recruits I've seen ECU land. And I'm curious how much they play this year, because I could see either one of these guys just coming out of nowhere second half of the year. Maybe there's an injury, maybe they get comfortable and they just end up playing a lot. Now, I would venture to say more than likely they redshirt, just given how ECU typically plays these things. But if there is an injury or two, it wouldn't shock me. So I'm really keeping an eye on these guys, more so than most of the other true freshmen, Philip, because I feel like these guys are good enough to play. If they do play, they would make mistakes. But I'm just going to tell you right now, I like both these guys a lot, and I'll be disappointed if they don't turn into good football players at ECU.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And look, it is one of those things, man. It seems like ECU every year in some sort of linebacker role, whether it's inside, whether it's outside, whether it's kind of that rush position, like somebody kind of steps up who is a freshman midway through the year. And to your point, Stephen, if you go through everybody that is at one of those positions I just named who has the most upside, it's probably these two guys, right? So I think that's legit. However, I think you hope the other five are good enough that they both redshirt. I think you hope you see them in 2 or 3 games and you see the upside, you see the potential, but you hope you don't burn that year. Of course, as I say that, this 5-year thing's probably going to get passed anyways, and that whole point I just said will be totally irrelevant.
Yeah, it would be nice if we can go ahead and get a official ruling on that so we know as reporters how to handicap these situations, but B, talking to the coaches so the coaches know how to play these situations, because if that wasn't a concern, then I think they both play at minimum on special teams. So just another aspect of college sports that needs some sort of clarity going forward.
Yeah, real quick, just based off that, the Protect College Sports Act will head to the Senate. That was broke right as our show went on from the House. This is the first time a college sports bill has reached that point. So
there you go. So we'll keep an eye on that in the days to come. All right, Tim Smith says, he's in the chat, he says, do we see this group and think they're one of our strengths on the defensive side this upcoming year? I think I would definitely lean more yes than no, Tim. It's just for me, man, look, the personnel, obviously it matters. I mean, who your players are matter. There's no doubt about that. But I just feel like the system, the scheme, and more importantly, ECU's coaching staff knows what works in the American against most of the competition they'll play within the scheme. I think you don't have to have the most talented guys in the world. I just think you got to have the right fit. And I feel like we're at a point now with Blake Carroll. Maybe there'll come a time where I'm wrong with this take, but at the end of the day, I trust him and his staff to put the right pieces in the right places. And I expect the whole defense to ultimately be a strength is what I'm getting at. I think they're just going to play well as a unit, more than having like standout specimens across the board, like a Siobhan Rebel or Jaquan McMillan, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he recruits his defense, right? But I think going back to the question, like, do we think this one can be? Look, I think the upside of this room might be higher than maybe the upsides of some of the other rooms. That's not to disrespect anybody else, but guys like DJ Johnson, like, dude's a damn good football player. Like, yeah.
All right, let's get a break in. We'll run down the nickel position in our next preview, either tomorrow with Bobby Harward or early next week. But there's our inside linebacker state of the room. I am high on the room. And again, excited about the young guys as well as the returners and the newcomers via the transfer portal. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk College World Series. I'll try to look a little bit during the break at that question earlier. Has ECU ever lost to a baseball team in a regional that went on to win the national championship? We'll discuss that. We'll talk World Cup. We'll talk a little bit of everything after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your
loyal and bold with the purple and golds.
Yo ho ho!
And we're back to hoist the colors with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Segment 2 here, hoist the colors. We had a question earlier from the chat. How many times has the team that knocked ECU out of the NCAA tournament gone on to win the national title? Obviously, that question is relevant because North Carolina is national championship bound. They will take on Oklahoma in a best-of-3 series. I've made it back to 2000, and I'm working on that as we speak. But no team has won the championship that at this point that ECU lost to in a regional. So I'll continue to dive back into that. And obviously, Coastal made it last year, but lost 2 out of 3 to LSU, so they did not win it. We'll see if Carolina wins it this year, which I don't know. I feel like I will say the more I watch Oklahoma, I mean Carolina is obviously really good. I think they're the better team, but Oklahoma is red hot right now, man. They've hit something like 27% of their home runs this season in the NCAA tournament. So like it's just like they're using illegal bats or something. I don't know. Maybe they got the buzzer system going that Houston Astros did, but
maybe
they're red hot too. I don't know.
They are. I mean, look, they're here for a reason, right? If you get here, you can win it. It's possible. I'm still worried, man. I hate watching Carolina win. I've seen them win so many basketball championships. At least they're bad at football. But gosh, I do not want to watch Carolina win at all.
Is it at least more tolerable? And I'm not saying I'm pulling for North Carolina because I'm with you. Like, I don't think I can do it. But at least, like, I was texting with Casey or Maley. We've texted about this a lot. Like, Scott Forbes is the most likable dude I feel like in the fact that ECU in North Carolina is willing to play ECU every year in baseball. And in a time where they could easily say no, at least like if they win, I'll say good for Scott Forbes. I won't be like happy for UNC, but I'll just say good for Scott Forbes. That's as far as I'll go.
I can get behind that. Look, I've always said one thing about Scott Forbes. I will always pull for Carolina enough that he doesn't lose his job. I would hate to see Scott Forbes lose his job because the human being that he is, and for the fact that they always play ECU. And because of, if I say that enough about a Carolina coach, then I will be happy for him as a human being that he won the national championship. Everybody else can go kick rocks.
There you go. Well said. So we'll see, man. I'll be pulling for Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, but I'm going to say Carolina gets it done. We'll talk more about it with Bobby Harvard tomorrow as well. And the good thing about it is at least it'll be fresh pitching on both sides, or both teams can line up their pitching because neither team needed an if necessary game. And as a result, you should get some good pitching matchups. All right, in Major League Baseball, how about Carson Whisenhunt? He comes up as a spot starter against the Atlanta Braves. Early offense backed him, and he ends up going 5 innings, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 85 pitches. So, I mean, not the most dominating line, but at the end of the day, I read something that he was pretty sleep deprived because he had to make a late trip east to Atlanta. But this is a good showing. I have not read deep enough to know if he's going to immediately go back down. Obviously, there was a doubleheader situation, which is why he got the spot start. But promising that he went out there against a good offense and pitched well enough to win. As the Giants win 7-5, Whisenhunt got the win. So big development there for Carson, who still is trying to prove, hey, we know he's a good AAA starter. Is he a good Major League starter? I think the jury's still out. This was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, 6th start overall. So, like you said, 2 earned runs there in 5 innings of work. I clicked on the wrong Atlanta game. Which one was it? This is so problem is what's their name scored both. Yeah. The problem is what's their names. The Braves scored 5 in both games. So I was trying to figure it out. But anyways, I was saying, yeah. So the thing is, he worked into the 6th inning. Both those runs he actually let up were in the 6th inning. But so he started 5 games last year, 2-1, 5.01 ERA. So like you said, I think the jury's still out. He hasn't gone out there. He's never really got shelled in a start, but he also hasn't looked like he's ready to go be part of a rotation. But also, again, it's only 6 starts, so that was good, and he did it against probably the best lineup right now in all of baseball.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I know the Braves have cooled somewhat, but still big development there. And Savage, I think, scheduled to throw today for the Toronto Blue Jays, as they will, or maybe it's Friday.
No, Trey against Sonny Gray tonight. The only Red Sox pitcher that has got run support all year is Sonny Gray. So sorry, Trey.
3-3 with a 3.78 ERA. Trey going into tonight's matchup against the Red Sox. So anytime Trey pitches against your Red Sox, has this happened a few times before?
Yeah,
I
think it's happened
the Yankees a bunch.
Once.
Okay,
I think maybe it's happened once. So hopefully, he pitches well and the bullpen screws it up. That's what you got to pull for. And 1:35. So if you're looking for something to watch this afternoon, dual screen it with some golf. U.S. Open going on. So 1:35.
Hunter Corbett in the chat points out that Alec Burleson has extended his hitting streak to 17 games. And
nice.
It'd be nice if he could get 25 upwards. I mean, it's going to be tough, but we were talking about the All-Star situation earlier this week. By the way, check out Pirates and the Pros podcast with Philip and Dom, as they'll discuss a lot of this stuff throughout the summer. But I feel like if he gets more national attention with what could be a longer hitting streak, maybe his chance for an all-star bid becomes more legitimate. I just feel like they're going to go with the sexier pick of Weatherholt, like I talked about. But the higher this thing gets, the more attention he's going to get, and the more household name he becomes. And it's a popularity contest at times.
Oh, it's 100% a popularity contest. That's why we got that interesting text from William the other day that I can't read on air. Heck, he also hit 5 dingers last week in 6 games, and he didn't have around a multi-home run game. He just 5 out of the 6 days he played baseball, he hit a home run.
He's having a heck of a year, man. Hopefully it continues. In the World Cup, Czechia, I don't know if I can pronounce that right, in South Africa.
Czechia.
Czechia. in contest right now. Switzerland and Bosnia playing later. Canada, Qatar, and Mexico, South Korea. And then U.S. tomorrow. We'll get more into that with Bobby. It'll be 3 o'clock and a 12 noon Pacific time start in Seattle. 3
Did you see we don't have a doubleheader anymore? I guess with the game being at 3, once the schedule officially came out, now we do play tomorrow night. Because, originally we were supposed to play a doubleheader Saturday.
Yeah.
So
we being Mariners and Red Sox, for those not following. I don't know. I still don't really understand why this game's at 3 on a Friday. Did we get an answer to that?
No, it is the first game of the day, so I think it's this whole 3-hour pregame show again. I think that's kind of what they're trying to do, is make it when they played the first game, they played at 9 and there was no 6 o'clock game, so they could have this whole long pregame show leading in. So I think that's kind of the mindset here again, is to turn it into a whole event. I mean, there's all this stuff going on downtown Seattle, so I guess that part of it's cool for the people there. But 3, it's hard. It's 3 o'clock on a weekday, and then next week they play at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Yeah, it's different, man. It's different. So, by the way, I know we got to get a break in. I'm all the way back to 1991. I'm trying to multitask, which I'm not great at. But in 1991, ECU lost in the Midwest Regional at Wichita State to Wichita, and Wichita made the national championship game that year, but did lose to LSU in 1991. So that's your 4th time ECU lost to a national championship runner-up. Based on my research, but no champion yet. I'll keep going further with that. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. ECU Rice, that'll be your conference opener for the Pirates. We'll catch up with Matthew Bartlett from At the Roost to get an in-depth look at the Rice Owls. That is next.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Get ready to board.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, segment 3 here on a Thursday, June 18th. We'll continue on with our ECU football opponent previews. We've dipped into non-conference already. Now we're going to go into conference play for the Pirates. They'll actually have a bye week before this game after hosting North Carolina Central. They'll open up league play against the Rice Owls. Rice coming back to Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium for the first time in some time. We're joined by Matthew Bartlett of atTheRoost.com. Check it out, The Roost. He does a great job covering Rice, better than anybody else in the marketplace. Matthew, we did this for your site, an ECU preview earlier this summer, so appreciate you returning the home and home. But just kind of give me the overall vibes, man, of Rice football as we sit here in mid-June, coming off a 5-win season under Scott Abel, first-year coach, but also a bowl appearance with that as well. And kind of what are some of the talking points this offseason from a broad perspective?
Things are good, man. Thank you for having me back. I think we've done this a couple years, and it'll be good that Rice and ECU are on the schedule. I think as far as how things are going in Houston, people are pretty happy. 5 wins doesn't sound like a lot, but for year one, when Rice was installing a brand new option scheme with Scott Abel, getting to that bowl game and kind of getting things in place, and then with the additions they've made through the high school ranks and through the transfer portal this offseason, there's a lot of expectations that, now that the infrastructure is in place, now that they've got the right pieces, and putting both of those together will allow them to take potentially a big step in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Scott Abel's background, and I was a huge fan of the hire. I just think he's done an amazing job kind of wherever he's been. And obviously, familiar with the state of North Carolina from his time in this state. But just as you look back on the hire and kind of how it's gone early on, do you feel like it's maybe as good of a fit as Rice was hoping coming in?
I think everybody's really happy, and I tell people this, that, people told me before they hired Scott Abel years ago that Rice looked at going back to the option. They, of course, ran the option under Ken Hatfield way back in the day. And one of the reasons they didn't at the time was people assumed that it would have been a multi-year effort, that getting an offensive lineman that can run the option and all the skill players that it takes and getting the scheme installed. You look at, the great option teams, Army and Navy, they've literally been doing it for a century. So everyone thought, okay, it's going to be a hard year one if we do this. And the fact that Abel was able to go and beat a UConn team that won 10 games last year, was a really good football team and was competitive, one-score games with some of the best teams in the conferences, when, he's starting basically a rookie quarterback and a bunch of skill position players that were recruited to a West Coast scheme. So the fact that he was able to do that in year one, if you look at preseason win totals, everyone's saying 2 or 3 wins. They got to 5, and I think a bunch of people in that room in South Main thought they should have had 6 or 7. So, yeah, everybody's still on board with the hire. Everyone was kind of going to be patient with year 1 or year 0, however we call it. But if anything, he's now kind of raised the standard, because now if you can get to a bowl game in year 1 when everything's not in place, what have you done for me lately? Let's take it higher.
So East Carolina will have a bye week before facing this unique offense. And Matthew, kind of for Pirate fans who haven't watched it, and from what little I watched the last year, it's not like your traditional, every snap under center triple option. It's more of like a shotgun spread option. Is that fair? How would you kind of describe this unique offense?
Well, Abel would be upset at me if I didn't give the official terminology being gun choice. But for, the common fan, it is kind of a blend of a bunch of different option schemes. So there's a little bit of triple option in there, which is kind of what you're familiar with the other American Conference teams, Army and Navy. They kind of run Army particularly is a true triple option team. Navy is a little bit different. They put a little bit more in the spread, and they have in pass. Rice has some concepts there. And then they'll also have some traditional speed option concepts and basically any kind of option that you could draw up. You remember when we also used to have the create a play in the old college football video game? I guess it's back now. They basically took all of the option plays and imported them. But what makes it a little bit different is because they do it out of the gun, all of the spacing and the angles are a little bit different. And so that just makes it a bit of a different wrinkle, which people don't usually prepare for in the same way. So they'll have a lot of their primary ball action between the running back and the quarterback, but they'll also have their slot backs, their slot wide receivers, line up as traditional slot wide receivers, but they'll be coming across the formation. And we saw times last year where a slot receiver might have 5 catches in a game and run the ball 8 times. So they really are using everybody in a bunch of different ways, but it's going to be a lot of running the football and a lot of misdirection and making you make your reads.
So this offseason, Rice brings in Ja'Cory Brown, former Miami UCF quarterback. And, you know, from the outside looking in, Matthew feels like a great fit. Is he kind of the expected starter? Is there a competition there? How would you handicap that position?
I reported after spring practices have concluded that he is expected to be named the starter. I still believe that will be the case. We'll probably have that formalized, I would imagine, first week of fall camp or soon. But, yeah, it was really exciting because, you know, I talked to people on staff before Brown was signed and going into the offseason and said, you know, draw up your ideal quarterback. Who do you want? And they're like, well, you know, he'd be 6'3", 6'4", 200, 220, cannon arm, can run really fast. And then, boom, they found him in the portal. And Brown is a blue chip guy, started his college career at Miami, also made some starts at UCF. Played option a little bit in high school. So he's not brand new to this. They kind of feel like they've threaded the needle and found the exact right guy to fit their system. So, yeah, he'll be the starter. And I think what you'll notice that'll be a little bit different from the Rice offense in year one under Abel when Chase Jenkins was a quarterback. Jenkins could run, but wasn't as aggressive or willing to commit to the run. From what we've seen so far in the spring from Ja'Cory, is that when he decides it's time to go, he puts the foot in the ground and goes. It was really telling that as much as you can take from a spring game, I think the third or fourth play of the spring game was Brown finds a hole on the right side and takes off for a 70-yard touchdown run. Of course, it's the spring. Do with that what you will. But the fact that their athleticism and decision-making is on the field from a veteran quarterback, I think that is really going to be differential for Rice this season.
Visiting with Matthew Bartlett, covers Rice for the Roost, and it'll be Rice at ECU on October 10th in Greenville. How about the rest of the offense, Matthew, when you look at some either returning pieces or portal additions, who else are they counting on offense?
They did a lot of work in the skill position rooms through the portal. They brought in running back Davis Lane from Virginia and receiver Ben Grice from Wake Forest, and both of those guys can run. They just didn't have a ton of speed last year, and now they do. You pair that with Quentin Jackson, who was up there among the leaders, top running backs in the American Conference last year. He's back. Now they really feel like they have more pieces on the offense, and it doesn't just have to be the Quentin Jackson show, although at times that was pretty exciting. I think he had 220-plus all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns in that UConn game, so he can do it. But it would be nice to have a couple. And then a couple of offensive linemen from the Ivy League that they pulled in from the transfer portal. Rice has done really well there. And then a curious one, they got a linebacker from Notre Dame who spent his high school days playing 2 ways as a tight end. And they've moved him back to tight end. So they're a bit unorthodox there, but they're really excited. Preston Zinter is the guy. They think that could be another piece that they didn't have last year that now they do.
John Kay is back as defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball. Matthew, what's the outlook on the defense? Do they have much back? A lot of new pieces there too, or what's the overall outlook there?
You know, John Kay kind of inherited a tough hand last year when he took over for departing defensive coordinator Brian Smith. A bunch of veterans that are now, you know, getting cups of coffee in the NFL and playing in the UFL or whatever the spring league is called, all left. And so he was left with a bunch of young guys, and things didn't go super well. They were okay, but really inconsistent. So they tried to kind of rebuild and get some pieces in. And the big task for him is going to be rebuilding the secondary, which Rice brought in, I think by last count, 8 transfers that play safety or corner. And so it's going to be putting those pieces together and seeing if they can work out. I think if they're able to do that and at least get a workable secondary, that'll allow everything else to flow much better. But, schematically, and from what we saw at the high points, things worked really well. It was being able to hold up for 12 games over the course of 60 minutes that really was problematic for them.
Matthew, what's your understanding? Obviously, Rice, a private university, has a lot of money, and with funding being such a key part of college football now. Like, what's your understanding of whether it be the donor base, the school getting behind Rice, and where they sit in the NIL budget, or just that side of things, the supportive side of things in terms of roster building and all that? Like, do you feel like they sit in a competitive spot in the American? Is there work to do? What's kind of your understanding there?
That's kind of the big question right now. I think that, a couple years ago when NIL became a thing, there was a lot of hesitancy around Rice and where that was going to go. But over the past 2 years, when athletic director Tommy McClellan came in, he's really galvanized a bunch of Rice supporters and gotten everybody, under one roof, so to speak. And so they've had a lot of success there. I think they've gone from maybe behind to right in the middle of the pack. And for Rice, with the academic piece too, they kind of view that as something as a differentiator that, okay, even if we're not going to go outbid Memphis, because who's going to go outbid Memphis, even if we can't do that, we can give you this and you can get a Rice degree. And so putting those two pieces together, I think they're at a point where they aren't hurting on the NIL front. I don't think they're going to be, meeting that $26 million threshold anytime soon. But I think they're at a place where they have enough to get done, and that'll really be tested, I think, this next year or two once everybody kind of figures out what the playing field looks like in the American.
Final question for Matthew Bartlett from the Roost, covers Rice. Just looking at the schedule, Matthew, obviously they open with a very winnable game, Houston Christian, and then go to Notre Dame, which is going to be a tough game. But I would say their final 2 non-conference games, Western Michigan at home, at Fresno, just looking at it from the outside looking in, would be pretty pivotal in terms of maybe how their overall season outlook goes. They do get UTSA, in Houston and not the Alamo Dome, which is crucial before heading to ECU, as we know. And then the back end of the schedule, some winnable games. But, I would say a fairly tough schedule, although manageable at the same time. Just what is a fair expectation for Rice in 2026? Is it that 6-win mark or above that?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough schedule, and those non-conference games, it's so interesting with those, right? You schedule them 10 years in advance, and you just don't know. I don't think anybody expected a Western Michigan team that was playing for the MAC championship a year ago to be on the schedule of that quality. It's been a while since they'd reached those high points. So, yeah, I think that the expectation is getting back to 6 wins and qualifying for a bowl that way. I think that what people would really want to see is some competitiveness in conference. I think that matters a lot more. Even if things go unfortunate, you start that 1-3 with a win over Houston Christian to start. If you can finish strong in conference play, and I think people really have games circled, that UTSA game at home will be pivotal. The game at ECU, those 2 teams that are expected to be among the top contenders in the American. That was what they didn't have last year, a win over an American, heavyweight. And I think if they could get some of those games, a Tulane, who knows how they're going to be, but they come to Houston later in the year. They go to a North Texas team that was really good last year and is rebuilding. Those are kind of some of the pivotal games. I think if you can go and win some of those games, like even if you're 6-6, but you get 5 American Conference wins, I think people would feel really good about what this team is capable of, showing they can hang with the top dogs. I don't think this is a year where people are going to be upset if there's no conference title. But if you can beat those teams, then I think you lay the foundation for, hey, this is a team that has the structure in place that they could contend for conference titles, which I think is what just most every Group of Five fan base is probably hoping for at this point.
He's Matthew Bartlett. Great insight on Rice. Check it out again, The Roost at theroost.com. Matthew, we appreciate it, man. I'm sure we'll be connecting again ahead of this October 10th matchup in Greenville, man. But great stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely. It's Matthew Bartlett from The Roost at theroost.com, the number one site for Rice Owls coverage. And he does a great job with that site, so check it out for all things Rice. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show after this.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
The hunting and fishing event of the summer comes to the Greenville Convention Center, July 11th and 12th, bringing together the best hunting and fishing vendors, outfitters, and fishing experts, all under one roof. Special free events, including a mountain trout pond, indoor archery range, offshore fishing experience, interactive duck blind, and free seminars. Don't miss it. The Mid-Atlantic Hunting and Fishing Expo is July 11th and 12th.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacoma's $259 a month or Tundra's only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
The Pirates play here.
Time to play the game!
This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Final segment here, final few minutes of the show. Hoist the Colors. Philip Pilkington producing today back in the 94.3 The Game studios. Tomorrow we'll have Bobby Harward on, our usual Friday guest. I'm actually getting together with Bobby this afternoon with the families to watch O's Mariners. Philip will not be able to join us, unfortunately.
I gotta work, man. I was invited.
Yeah.
Appreciate the invite.
Yeah. And I mean, we have swim lessons with the kids at 6, so it's not like we'll be able to watch the full game anyways. But we will miss you, and we'll tell you all about it tomorrow. I was going to ask you, because one of those teams in this game, at least heading into today, is above 500 in the American League. There are 5 teams above 500 in the American League. Can you name them all?
Okay. Rays, Yankees, Mariners.
The Mariners are one game over right
now. Shoot, I think there's probably one more AL West team and one AL Central team.
Shockingly, there's 2 from the AL Central.
Okay.
Nobody else from the West is over.
Okay, so, gosh, I've not been keeping up this year with how far the Canes went and then all the soccer stuff. Let's go Guardians and is it Kansas City?
Guardians and the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
Yep. The Royals have the worst record in the AL.
Yeah, I realized that when I said it. That was I realized I saw their record recently. They're not good. They were supposed to be good. Kansas City. They've been a disappointment.
Hunter nailed it in the chat. He said White Sox and Guardians. I am curious to see if the White Sox can sustain this. We'll find out. Also, to tie a bow on our earlier question, somebody in the chat asked how many times has the team that knocked ECU out of the NCAA tournament gone on to win the national championship? In baseball, 0. I went all the way back to 1964. No team that has eliminated ECU, unless I've misresearched this, which is entirely possible because I was also trying to do a live radio program during it. But I went back each year, and from my research, no team that knocked ECU out won the title. Now, there was like 4 or 5 instances where they reached the title game dating back to like the 80s and 70s, but ended up losing in the championship. So maybe that's a good thing if you're hoping for North Carolina to lose, or we will see for the first time ever ECU lose to the eventual national champion, North Carolina, which also happened in basketball, which we found out in 1993. ECU was eliminated in basketball by North Carolina, which went on to win the national title. All right, we got to get out of here. Fun show. Appreciate Matthew Bartlett. Good insight on the Rice Owls. Also, appreciate Philip Pilkington for all his work behind the scenes and helping out with our inside the linebacker room, state of the room address there. We'll be back Friday. Bobby Howard. It'll be a free-for-all Friday. We'll talk a little bit of everything. We'll see you then. Thanks